Hello, everybody, and hope you're well and enjoying the slightly cooler weather after what's been an exceptionally hot week in school. Today, I'd like to begin talking about the school's mission statement. It's very important for a school's mission statement to be a lived reality rather than just being a dead letter that is produced for inspection purposes and then just lies in a back drawer and nobody pays any attention to it. And I strongly believe that OLA's mission statement does indeed embody how we go about things in the school, but also inspires that. It's a bit of a sort of chicken and egg situation with a mission statement. And it's really important for a school's way of being to reflect its history, but at the same time be sufficiently adaptable that it can continue to prepare children for the modern world. It's a fine line, but it can be achieved, and I believe that we do manage that. And of course, the visions and ideals of OLA were founded in the middle of the 19th century, but what the Sisters of Mercy had in mind and what they lived for so many years in running the school were perennial values that I believe are still of great importance to the school and enshrined in the mission statement. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to read the mission statement. Some of you might never have heard it or read it, and I think it's important for us all as a community to understand what is driving and inspiring us and to measure what we're actually doing against the mission. So here we go. As God's family, we learn to love, respect, and forgive, guided by His Word. We believe that God creates each of us as a unique person with gifts that need to be recognized, celebrated, and developed. Inspired by the words of our foundress, Catherine Macaulay, to each according to their needs, we encourage a respect for every individual, regardless of background, beliefs, or ability. Our aim is to develop a loving, caring, and welcoming community in which all may grow as children of God. In partnership with parents and the wider community, we seek to respond to God's invitation to faith, mercy, and love. To develop skills for life in an ever-changing world, we cherish integrity, compassion, openness, forgiveness and reconciliation, cooperation and courage. We nurture wisdom, the value of learning, independent thinking, a sense of self-worth, and care for each other, that all may reach their full potential. So although that's quite short, there's a huge amount in it. It's very rich, and each part of the mission statement means something important for us. And at the center of it, as a Catholic school, we have that vision of ourselves as the family of God. We are inspired by God's word in what we do. But it's interesting to see what nouns and adjectives that leads to in the mission statement. And I think there's a coherent set of themes that runs through this. There's a lot of emphasis on love. The word love appears twice, and loving as well. There's a lot of emphasis on respect, so respecting the individual regardless of the other person being different from us. We respect everybody as children of God. But also, interestingly, forgiveness. There's been a lot of discussion in the media recently about the virtue of forgiveness, particularly in relation to the England cricketer Ollie Robinson and his statements about tweets he made as a teenager. And some articles I've read have suggested we need to try and be forgiving to people, to sometimes draw a line, however terrible the behavior of somebody has been in the past. And of course, built into the Christian vision, there is the vision of forgiveness when people are sorry for what they have done and when they recognize the bad things they have done. But this, going back to the business of respect, notice how the mission statement talks about respecting people regardless of their background, beliefs, or ability. We live in a very diverse society, and people who come to the school bring all kinds of different backgrounds and talents with them. They believe very different things, and yet OLA can hold everyone in the palm of its hand by having this fundamental respect for people as they are. Now notice also the particular skills that are said to be cherished, and I do like that word. It's nice to have the word cherish in the mission statement. Cherished in an ever-changing world. It's really been brought home to me recently how in the last year during the pandemic, it's not just the effects of the pandemic that have changed us, it's also the going forward of themes to do with racial justice, and all the stuff that's come up through Everyone's Invited, and how we respect members of both sexes. But notice the words, integrity. We want our pupils to be pupils of integrity, to live whole lives, lives that are not in stress, lives that are not in contradiction, where values hang together in a coherent pattern. We want our children to have compassion for others, the root of the word compassion, to suffer with, to understand other people's suffering, and really to have that empathy for it. We want them to be open. We want them to be able to feel that they can share their experiences, that if they're in trouble, that they know who they can go to, and that they will get a compassionate listening ear. Reconciliation. Sometimes people fall out. It happens in school on a day-to-day basis. Friendships suffer strain. But if reconciliation can be achieved, whether within the pupil body or with the help of the staff or the parents, then that's our aim. And we want people to cooperate, work together. Each child in the school is obviously working their way forward to their own future beyond it, but they'll succeed so much better in that if they cooperate in so doing with their friends. And that sense of family, God's family that we mentioned at the beginning of the mission statement, so important to OLA. We all do belong to each other in a very real sense. And lastly, courage. Courage, a really important quality in the current time, and it can be difficult to be courageous, but if we put ourselves, if we allow ourselves to be helped by others and to recognize that courage is important for everybody, we can build each other up and enable ourselves to get through the difficult times. And lastly, the last paragraph of the mission statement is more focused, more narrowly focused on academic learning, but also talks about wisdom, because after all, we teach academic subjects, but that in a sense is separate from wisdom, a kind of knowing how to approach life, to understand what life is all about, to become whole people, and to become confident in themselves. So a great deal of richness in the mission statement. It's displayed all around the school, of course. It forms the basis of our aims and values, and from time to time we return to it in assemblies to remind our students what the school is all about. And I hope that from what I've said today, you recognize that these are the kind of things that go on in the school, that we do what it says on the tin, as somebody once said to me about OLA. Well, it's been a remarkable week in school following the Prime Minister's announcement. As you know, we're working towards the opening up, easing of restrictions from June the 21st, but we always knew that that wouldn't necessarily happen. So this week has been spent looking at the various events that are planned for the rest of the term and seeing what flexibility there is within the restrictions to have these events in a modified form. So already you will receive some communications about some of these events, and others will be following. So please be patient with us. We were delighted that the Year 5 Experience Day last Saturday went so well after we moved it online. That was a very swift turnaround, and teachers here and our admissions staff put a huge effort into ensuring that that went well. So if you had children who were involved in that, then I really hope they enjoyed it. And this week has seen the first of our 2 weeks of learning journeys for Year 11 and the Upper 6th, and it's been great to hear, just talking to some of the students, how much they've enjoyed the subjects that they've been taking. I'm looking forward to my one on philosophy. What does it all mean? We hope the next week goes well with that as well. And parents of students in year 11 and the upper sixth will be pleased to hear that the teacher assessed grades have now been sent to the exam boards. The deadline was today, and that everything now goes quiet until those results are delivered, released to the students on the 10th and the 12th of August, much earlier than is normally the case. So, thank you very much for listening. I hope you have a good weekend, and I look forward to speaking to you again next week.